Hi friends, my name is Kim. Welcome back to Healing Place Cottage. Welcome back to my kitchen. I am so happy to have you with me today. And if I hadn't said so in a while, I make diabetic friendly recipes. Oftentimes these are gluten-free or low carb, but they're always diabetic friendly, which means that they're not designed to raise our blood sugar, and I try to stay under 45 grams of carbs in a meal. So hopefully that helps. It's not any specific advice that I am giving, but it's what I have researched that works for me, so that's what I'm sharing with you. I am someone who is on the diabetic journey. I have shared previously that my A1C was 13.9, and I got it down to 6 in about 6 months, and that was medication, diet, and exercise. So I got back from the Y just a little bit ago. It's a cold and rainy day here in Ohio, and so I decided I'm going to make Ohio chili, or my version of Ohio chili. So let's get started. I stopped on the way and got a pound of ground sirloin. You can use ground turkey, you can use ground beef, you can use whatever it is that you want for a meat, or you can use a meatless option. I just like it with ground sirloin. So we're just going to fry this up in the pan. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I like to salt and pepper as I go with this recipe, giving the layers different seasonings. So while we're waiting for that to cook, we will go ahead and cut up 1 onion. Go ahead and use this one. It looks a little older. And I say Ohio chili because I have friends who were raised in other parts of the country, namely San Antonio, Texas, and those friends do not believe that what we call chili in Ohio is actually chili. So that's why I call it Ohio chili. And my chili is a version of what my mom made. My mom made a soupier version than what I make. I make a little bit thicker version, but the ingredients are all pretty similar, and I'll go through those as we're working through this. So right now I think it is January 12th. And I want to be honest with you that I am struggling to get back on track diet-wise after the holidays. So I had gotten down to 225, and since the holidays, I fluctuated between 224 and 227. When I weighed this morning, I was at 227. And I'm just struggling to get back on track. And part of that, I believe, is because I ate sweets at Christmas. And I didn't eat a lot. I didn't overindulge. But I get a taste of sweets, and then I want to eat them all the time. I even had a donut earlier this week. So I just wanted to share that. If you're experiencing the same thing after the holidays, I can relate. We just have to figure out how to get back on track with our recipes and eating the right things. One thing that I'm learning, because I also follow a lot of homesteading content for various reasons, the biggest reason is the sustainability factor. I like the concept of growing my own food and creating sustainable food sources. And even though I live on a quarter of an acre, so we'll talk more as spring comes into it becomes spring, but I'm going to be doing a lot of gardening again this year, and we'll share that journey with you as well, because it's all food that I'm going to turn into recipes for all of you. But as I mentioned, I follow a lot of homesteaders, and what I'm really realizing is a lot of what we are doing on this channel is from scratch cooking. And I think that I probably take that for granted because I was raised primarily with from scratch cooking. And don't get me wrong, I use jarred barbecue sauce. I don't make my own barbecue sauce. I don't make my own ketchup. I don't make my own mayonnaise. But the majority of the ingredients that I use are whole ingredients and not processed. And so that made me feel really good to realize that we're doing a lot of from scratch cooking on this channel. So you can see I added a whole onion. I like a lot of onion in my chili. And we're going to go ahead and add some garlic too. I'll add a couple cloves of garlic. So tell me if you've been having, in the comments, tell me if you've been struggling since the holidays to get back on track. Or if it's just me. I doubt that it's just me, but you never know. I am still going to the Y. We have a challenge at work where we join teams and we're trying to get our steps, the most steps in for the month. For the month of January. And I am averaging over 5,000 steps a day. I am on my Fitbit and with my Vitality program at work. I've mentioned that program previously to you. It's a way where we get, by doing certain things, we can lower our insurance premiums, and they're all things that you can do to preventative health care things like dental visits and mammograms, colonoscopy. You get points for things like that, but then you also get points for having an A1C that isn't within range, all of that kind of stuff. So one of the things is if you walk 5,000 steps a day, you get 5 points. 10,000, you get 10 points. 15,000, you get 15 points. And if you go to the gym and work out for 30 minutes, it is 10 points. So I've been going to the Y and logging on my app, going to the gym, that it logs that I'm at the gym, and I walk for 30 minutes. And I realized I don't normally listen to fiction books on Audible, on audio tape. But I left my book that I was reading. I was halfway through the book and I left it at the hotel in Cleveland this week. And so I had 7 Audible credits because I just hadn't been listening to things on Audible. And so I thought, well, I already have a credit for this. I'll just get the Audible version of the book. I walked twice as fast. And I listen to things when I'm walking already. I listen to podcasts. I do listen to nonfiction books on tape. One of the books I'm listening to right now is Breath is Prayer. And I listen to that. But listening to this nonfiction book, and it's a murder mystery. It's called The Unwanted Guest. And listening to this book made me walk twice as fast. And so I had more steps in my 30 minutes. And so yeah, I was just very excited about realizing that. So now, last night I got on, and this author has several different books. So I got on the library website, and there is There are two sites that they work with, Hoopla, and I forget the name of the other one, but you can rent audiobooks from the library. You can take out books online, audiobooks and Kindle books. So I took out a Kindle book, but I'm going to look and see if I can take out some more audiobooks now that I realize that I like listening to that and it motivates me when I'm walking. So one thing that I do different than my mom did on my chili recipe is I use tomato sauce. My mom typically just added water, so hers was a lot thinner sauce than what mine is. And because I used ground sirloin, I'm not draining my meat. So I'm going to take this, and to get the rest of the tomato sauce that's in there, I'm going to add some water because I do want it to be a little bit thinner as it cooks down all day. So add that. And I add 3 types of beans. So these beans have been drained and rinsed, and I add 3 types of beans, and that's something else I do different than my mom. My mom added dark and light kidney beans, but I add in a can of pinto beans. I really, really enjoy pinto beans, and so I add those in as well. And rather than, I'm very picky, we've already figured that out. I think as you've been cooking with me, I like things to be a certain way. And I don't like to use a can of diced tomatoes because it's so full of stems. And I just don't like that. So what I do is I get a jar of stewed tomatoes, and then I take out the stems. So we'll drain the jar in there, and then I just take the tomatoes, and wherever there are stems, I remove them. Looks like I got a jar that has, so there's a stem. It looks like I got a jar that has celery in it. Hopefully it's just celery. I don't think it's pepper, so I don't think it's gonna, and I don't want it to be oregano. I made sure I didn't get that jar. There's another stem. So now I'm gonna add, I've added my garlic. I kind of feel like I should add 1 more clove of garlic, but I'm gonna leave it for right now. I'm gonna add chili powder, and you wanna be generous with your chili powder. So I'd say that's at least a teaspoon, if not a tablespoon, but you do it to taste. So I know just from my experience of making chili about what, making a big old mess, about how much chili powder I need to add for me. As I've mentioned previously, I don't like hot stuff, but I did learn that I like poblano peppers, so I looked up what poblano peppers are dried, and they are Ancho chili peppers. Well, when I stopped at my local grocery store, they didn't have Ancho chili powder, but they had an Ancho chili fiesta rub. And when I looked at it, it is Ancho chili peppers, mustard, sea salt, dehydrated onion and garlic, green bell pepper, parsley, a little bit of smoke flavoring. So I'm going to add some of that to my chili. I'd say about a teaspoon. It does not smell super strong. And did this have cumin in it? It just says spices, but it smells to me like it does have cumin in it. I normally would add cumin to my chili as well, but that's a strong flavor, so I think that I'll leave it for right now. And I'm gonna let this come up to a not a rolling boil, but a strong simmer. And then I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to let it cook for several hours, because the goal is to get all those flavors really meld together, let them meld together, and let it become very rich with great depth of flavor. I'm going to go ahead and taste. And that's not hot at all, so I think I will add a little bit more of that. If I were adding straight ancho chilies, I obviously wouldn't add as much. For me. You can add fresh jalapenos to this. You could add fresh poblanos. If I had poblano peppers, it's on my grocery list, but my groceries don't come until tonight around 5. If I had those, I probably would put some poblanos in it. You can put, I know people who put celery in their chili, and I have friends who put green peppers in. So we're going to let this cook up, and we'll come back and give it a taste several hours from now. So we're back. It's been about 3 hours. About an hour into it, I added some garlic powder and some onion powder because I just didn't like the flavor of all of the chili powder. So I'm hoping that sweetened it up a little bit. It is very hot. It did sweeten it up a little bit. And there is a little bit of a kick from that ancho chili blend that I added, but not bad. And the raw tomato taste is gone, so it's cooked long enough for that to go away. In my part of Ohio, in school, they served chili with peanut butter sandwiches. So it's tradition to eat an old white bread, Wonder Bread kind of peanut butter sandwich along with the chili, so it's going to be very hard for me not to do that. I could eat some peanut butter on a couple saltine crackers and probably stay within that 45 grams of carbs that I want to stay in to be a diabetic friendly recipe. But I hope that you enjoyed this recipe today of an old family favorite here for me in the Dayton, Ohio area. I hope that it's not as cold and dreary where you are today, but I hope that if it is, that you take the time to make something warm and soothing to enjoy. And now I have a lot of this chili, so once it cools, I will put it in quart-sized freezer bags and I will freeze it for individual servings. So I wanted to thank you again for taking time to watch my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is the only way people will find me, is if I get more subscribers and more viewers. If you're watching me on TikTok, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you over on YouTube. This is probably a longer video, so may not make it to TikTok, but you could follow me there as well as on Instagram and on Facebook. So take care, everyone, and I look forward to cooking with you again soon. Bye.